I feel like your life has maybe changed a little bit more, but we're still doing our thing. Cool. Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Andrew from the Fung Bros, and I am the host of the third Sip and Aspire digital series in partnership with Hennessy XO and the Asian American Business Development Center. Sip and Aspire is an ongoing event series between Hennessy XO and the AABDC, bringing exciting and inspiring events to young Asian professionals and entrepreneurs. The series features guest speakers and tons of panels and a variety of successful professionals and entrepreneurs that will share their experiences and inspire the younger generation to reach their full potential. In alignment with Hennessy XO's "Greatness is an Odyssey" tagline, Sip and Aspire is meant to show ambitious individuals that they do not need to just settle, and that there are opportunities available for those who take it and aspire to do more in life. All right, everybody, and with us we have a special guest. We have actor from Crazy Rich Asians, A Simple Favor, and of course Snake Eyes. With us today, we got Henry Golding in the house. What's up, Henry?
What's up? What's up, Andrew? Long time no see, brother.
Yeah, man. No, last time it was Singapore, and I know, man, we got in the background of Crazy Rich Asians. I found myself.
Did you spot yourself? You did?
I did.
Which table were you on?
I had a few frames. I think, unfortunately, David, my brother's scene, ended up getting cut. But they cut a lot of stuff out. On
the cutting room floor. I mean, it happens, man. It happens to the best of us.
No, it was a great experience, though, man. To be there for that. But yeah, man.
It was like a lifetime ago, though, doesn't it? That was like 4 years ago. We were sweating in the Singaporean heat in tuxedos.
Yes, and not. That's a lot of the actor life, though, I guess, is just being on set and just waiting.
Just waiting. Dude, it's hurry up and wait. That's the name of the game.
Is there some meditation that goes on with you, or you're like, I'm just chilling? Like, I know some people have different ways of dealing with it, right?
Yeah, you just try to kill time. You try to keep present. You you don't get carried away with sort of having fun, too much fun, because then you lose kind of track of like what you're meant to be doing. So, but it's all good.
Yeah, man. So I guess, got some couple questions. First one is about your background. Now, we all know that you're half Asian. Obviously, yes. Everybody uses the word Hapa, but you're not like half Chinese or half Korean or even like half Filipino. You're half Malay, but of a certain tribe, right?
That's right. Yeah.
So could you explain that background a little bit more and let's get as deep cut as possible here.
Yeah, absolutely. So I come from a tribe called the Iban tribe, and in Malaysian Borneo, there's two states. There's Sabah and Sarawak. So I'm from Sarawak, and there are many sort of tribes in that region. So it's an island off Peninsular Malaysia, which I'm sure you know. So there's like the Klabit, the Penan, Iban. There's a tremendous amount, and every single one has very distinct sort of cultural reverence. And so the Iban were notorious for being headhunters back in the day. And so they believed mainly sort of in animism and kind of respect of nature and things like that. So I'm very blessed to be a part of a very old culture, one that's sadly dying out. And on the other hand, my father is British, so I kind of grew up in the UK. But yeah, I mean, I'm super proud of my heritage. I have a few tattoos actually, which are notorious for the Iban tribe. One is the Bungai Brinjal, which you receive when you go on your journey into manhood. So when you reach the age of 18, you get these sort of flowers to represent that, when you come across somebody in the jungle, that they are from your tribe. So you can identify the Iban around the world just because they have these Bungai Brinjal.
Now, I know, and that's pretty interesting, I wanted to ask because, we always pride ourselves on knowing a lot about, different types of Asians. That's kind of like something that we've done on our channel a lot, is either analyze these situations or talked about the food and explored the food. What are some like unique dishes? Is there a unique dish from there that maybe you don't eat in like Kuala Lumpur? Because like I know you eat bakate, which is like pretty popular. And that's one of your favorite dishes. Is there something more like deep cut that you're like, yo, that's not on the mainland of Malaysia.
Yeah, I mean, there's these really famous dish, kolomi, which is like noodles with like minced pork, but then in this kind of like pork lard. It's like the most unbelievable. So whenever you go to like Kuching, which is the capital city, like you have to find your nearest kolomi. But within the Iban, we do a lot of sort of catch and cook back in the day. So it was wild boar, obviously like chickens and things like that. But
did you do any of that like when you were there?
Yeah. So I did a television show where I went back to kind of my roots and did this journey of manhood. So I spent time with a couple tribes out there, but we hunted sort of wild boar, managed to like shoot one. You field dress it, and then you barbecue it and let it kind of smoke, so it lasts like 3 or 4 days. Okay. So yeah, no, it's crazy. But you know, then there are a lot of sort of catch and cook or foraging. Mm-hmm. So it's really old school.
Yo, I want to add last question kind of on this topic is like, how are you viewed when you're going back? Are you like the Iban hero, or people are like, oh, I know he's like a mixed guy, like, but he's repping for us, like,
yeah, you know, I'm usually like a foot taller than anyone, so they're very much shorter. A lot of indigenous sort of people are shorter because essentially when you live in the jungle, or when you back in sort of, you know, hundreds of years ago, it was easier to get through the undergrowth if you were a lot shorter.
Sure, yeah, tall people were at a disadvantage.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Yeah, you could go back to.
But no, they definitely know. They definitely know that I'm obviously mixed blood, but in my little town of Batong. It's about 5 hours drive from the capital city of Kuching. And I would say they find great pride in me being from this tiny little town. So it's always amazing whenever I do get to go back, sort of seeing people and just sort of the amazement on their faces of me being back in, you know, the hometown and representing. And no, it's super, super heartwarming, and hopefully, you know, we do inspire and we show them that there's a big world out there, and anyone can sort of make it, really.
Yeah, no, that's great, and it leads into our next question. You know, how, you know, you have a career in entertainment and you've been very successful now, but I guess what's like a piece of advice you could have for other people who are trying to get into entertainment at this time in the way that you did? You know, I mean, I think that there's the digital media side now, there's TikTok, but you went the more traditional route. What's advice of like how to be courageous in your career and just moving forward? You know, it's a hard life, right? Lots of.
No, for sure. I really think that, you know, I think John Chu put it the best. He was like, if you're a director, direct. If you're an actor, act. If you're a scriptwriter, write. You have to get yourself into kind of a routine of being the person you want to be. And so it means putting yourself out there, taking that leap of faith. Like in the beginning, I started off in the entertainment business when I was like 22 years old. And I wanted to be a travel host and a presenter. So I moved myself from comfort of sort of living in London to Malaysia, because I thought it would be there would be more, I suppose, opportunities over there. And lo and behold, that's where I found my footing. And
did you think moving to Asia was the move because you had that Malaysian side and you were like, hey, like maybe in the UK they don't fully understand me, and I'm going to have an advantage representing Asia, or at least like Western, you know, that part.
Sometimes that does play a part. Yeah. I think for me, it was whenever I went back to Malaysia for like summer holidays and things, I would always watch MTV Asia, or there was a channel called Channel V. And I saw people who looked like me. And a lot of them were happers. And so it was sort of like this seed of kind of like possibility.
Right.
Like when I was like maybe 14, 15 years old. And so I realized that there were more faces like mine in Asia and Southeast Asia who didn't necessarily need to speak anything but English. And so I was at a slight disadvantage because I never was able to I never picked up Bahasa Melayu or Iban very, very sort of astutely. So I had to focus in on my area of expertise, and that was speaking English. So that kind of narrows the field a little bit, but then it also makes you, I suppose, a commodity in a sense, because perhaps there's not that many people who speak really good English and have that kind of international look. So that was all the train of thought of moving over to Malaysia and Singapore.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think that for a lot of people who get into entertainment, there has to be some type of like seed that's planted or some type of small win early on or something. Like, you know, I mean, maybe sometimes it's your aunt and uncle who's like, oh, you should get into entertainment, maybe, you know, or maybe no one says that, you know, and you just have to, but something has to spark usually. Yeah.
You know, the difficult thing is, you know, nobody wants to hear it, but knowing when to move on. Sometimes people strive for something that perhaps isn't as easily as sort of attainable as somebody else, but it's being able to identify, it's like, perhaps this isn't my area of expertise. Perhaps this isn't for me. Maybe there's something in this world that I still love and I'm passionate about, but maybe it's not necessarily this goal that I initially started with, because goals, hopes, dreams, they change, they evolve. So don't get yourself stuck in this, because if I was stuck in this routine, I would never have accepted the fact that I could be an actor. I was always a presenter. And it took John essentially to reach out personally and be like, what are you doing? Like, why won't you audition for this role? Because I turned it down initially like 2 or 3 times because I was like, you know, they're not going to choose a non-actor. Of course, somebody's like, I'm a presenter.
Because you wanted to be a food host?
Well, because I was a travel host at the time, working for BBC and Discovery Channel.
So you kind of
essentially, I reached the pinnacle of my career, and I was like, well, why would I change careers when I'm at like the top of my game?
Yeah. Well, one thing was going well for you, but another thing was a great opportunity as well, and it took, you know, some push, and you know,
but it's where, you know, it's a confluence of many things. An opportunity is only met well with great kind of practice and preparation.
Yeah.
You know, because an opportunity could come far too early and you're not ready for it. But at that stage, I was comfortable on screen. I had a couple of years back, I had trained to sort of tried my hand at sort of acting classes and things like that. So I had all of this sort of deep seated. So when an opportunity came, it was kind of like, actually, you know what? I feel as though I am prepared for this. So I feel as though this is a natural step.
You didn't know it, but you were actually training for this.
Yeah, no, you constantly have to revolve your life around what you're training to be or do.
It kind of goes back to that one quote that I love where it's like, oh, they call it luck, but the harder I work, the luckier I get. And it's like,
yeah, absolutely.
You could call it, maybe there's always some luck involved in a lot of things, right? But no one's like an overnight success. So you were preparing, you were working, you were in the field, and then this opportunity pops up. And then you're like, okay, well, actually, now that I think about it, I can kind of do this, you know? Yeah.
But also the stars aligned. I mean, it was the perfect character to start this career and start my role, because the character was very similar in personality to who I am. So John saw that from the get-go. Like, he saw a lot of my travel hosting on like YouTube and stuff like that, like clips. And he was like, this is the kind of grassroots grounded guy that we need for Nick, because Nick really was the linchpin for the movie. It's like, if you didn't have a believable Nick Young, like, what's the reason? Why is she going to like Singapore to like meet his family? And he has to be sort of like this semi Prince Charming that everybody loves because he's kind of like one of the guys. He's so grounded.
Absolutely. Of the roles that you've had several now that are in big motion picture films. Has there been a role where you felt like and you don't maybe have to name it, but that you were like, hold on, like, let me like, hey guys, like I would like to change this. I feel like this is more authentic to the Asian side of me, or hey guys, like I want to play this Asian side up, or maybe hey guys, this is not like this. Like, has there been that already? I mean, that's pretty common for a lot of people, but I don't know if you've encountered it.
I mean, the only time that I've played sort of iconically kind of Asian would be Nick Young and Dry Eye in The Gentleman. And Dry Eye was an absolute polar opposite of sort of Nick Young. And it was the fact that I could give as good as I get. You know, in that world of sort of Guy Ritchie, where the gangsters are kind of like, they beat it, like, I mean, they're the worst of the worst. You know what I mean? Like, so I could almost, you know, give back whatever anyone kind of threw at me. So that's the power that you hold, is that you need to kind of stand up for yourself. You're right. You need to be like, you know what, like, I'm going to call this guy, blah, 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 blah. And, you know, it's difficult because it is such a collaborative, I suppose, a collaborative industry. But if you don't speak up, no one will understand or know your point of view. So I think that really is shaping who you want your characters to be, especially if they're sort of a proudly Asian character. You need to have the voice and give your experiences. And so for Nick Young, you know, there's little moments of adding kind of Malay, kind of a little bit of speaking of Malay, or understanding that in Malaysia and Singapore, there's like 3 or 4 different languages that everybody speaks. The only one that they speak altogether is obviously English. So that's, you know, one of the unique things. So you have to, it's your responsibility as an actor to bring that, because a writer might not necessarily think about it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You know? So you got to put your fingerprint and your identity into your characters.
100%. And yeah, I mean, I think when you say the word collaborative, it does mean having your input, obviously doing it in a respectful way and knowing, you know, I mean, I know it can get dicey sometimes in the industry.
So, yeah.
It's intimidating. You don't want to speak up, but, you know, also,
but I think people respect you more for having a point of view. Exactly. Don't lay it on thick. Have like mention it as a suggestion. Like sometimes that's the best way, because then it shows people like you actually care about your character and you actually care about the project in total, because you want to make it the best possible.
100%, man. All right. Yeah. Switching gears a little bit. This is probably gonna be the last question or last 2 questions. You know, this past year and a half, 2 years, especially on the media side and coming from kind of the anti-Asian hate side. I mean, there's been a lot of videos every day, like even today, that there's a video of something that looks just like fits the bill of anti-Asian hate, you know? And I guess, what can you say, or what kind of like advice do you have for young Asians or professional Asians or whatever point of life that they're in when they see this stuff constantly? You know, I think there's so many different feelings. You want to help, you want to jump in. Some people want to get mad and get aggressive. I want to go over there and blah, blah, blah. But then there's the people who are like, we can't, there's this and that. Like, what's your personal response to that?
Yeah, it's a really difficult one, because deep down for me, I want to tell everyone, it's just like, don't listen to that crap. Like, do not allow like a racist to bend your will, or allow someone like that to have dominion over your life, because they are so shallow-minded. They're so small in ideation of like the entire world, that let them be in that space. Don't, you know, protect your culture, protect the people around you, your community, but don't allow them to rule and have dominion over you, because you're better than that. Don't waste your energy. because all they have is hate and just negativity. That's all their value in the society is. And they've found value in that, which is the saddest part. It's like they only have validation if they portray that role that they've decided upon. So, you know, do the good thing, stand up, you know, look after your elders, but also don't just try not to initiate or try not to rise up too much, because the sad fact is you'll never change their mind. But the best thing you can do is not allow them to have power over you.
Right. Because
that's what they're looking for. Yeah. They want to see you afraid. They want to see you scared. But if you're like, you know what? I feel bad for you. You just have you have so much hate. You have so much shallowness. And I wish the best for you, you know, and then just move on, man. Go with your move on with your life and be excited for who you are and what you're kind of growing into. Don't allow people like that to have power over you. It sucks.
Yeah, no, I agree in that. I hope that, you know, it can fuel people into action, but not like emotion, you know, and if that means that, you know, you have more conversations with your loved ones or your community, or, you know, these immigrant communities that are often caught in the mix of things, let it inspire you to do that and let it inspire you to help. Yeah. But you're right. Don't let it take over your emotions and take over your mind. You know, I think we can all take action without it breeding more hate, you know, for people.
Exactly. Because, you know, it can polarize a lot of people and it becomes all consuming in a sense. And that's what they want. That's what they love. So, you know, look after who you can, who are defenseless and need our help, but at the same time, just try not to engage in a weird way, because that's what they want. They want to see you sad. They want to see you disturbed by what's happening. You know, and is there an end? Who knows? That, you know, we haven't been able to solve any of this. These are ongoing situations for hundreds of years. You know, racism is sadly a part of our lives, but there are ways of making it not control who you will be. Like, don't allow people to tread on you and keep you down. Like, you will have this amazing life, and those people will just be stuck in this kind of like weird kind of place that, you know, is devoid of love. It's crazy.
Yeah. Wrapping it up there. Yo, by the way, do you have a Malay name in Iman? Is there like
I have a
call you?
I have a journey name. I have a something bestowed upon me when I did my journey into sort of manhood. It's called Garawat. Garawat. Yeah, it's a very old traditional. Actually, it comes from the Klabit, which is a mountainous tribe. So that is kind of my nickname as such.
Dope, man. Yo, Henry, thank you so much for joining us. Guys,
thanks,
everybody out there, thank you so much for joining us for our third Sip and Aspire digital series with the man himself, Henry Golding. Thank you, Hennessy XO and the AABDC, the Asian American Business Development Center, for bringing us all together and just having like this conversation. It was cool to catch up, and it was cool to get your thoughts on things. And of course, man, every time you talk, it just sounds so classy. I feel like I'm going to be rich talking to you.
Yeah. Great to see
the
you.
British accent, still classy, way classier. But anyways, thank you everybody for watching this. If you want to watch past episodes, go to this link right here, unfinishedbusiness.us/sip and aspire. And thank you, Henry. Thank you, Hennessy.
Take care.
AABDC. Peace.